What's going on, everybody? This is Garry B. Jr. and I want to show you a cool way to make like an intro countdown video for your next presentation using Google Earth. So it'll be like an interactive video where the Earth is moving around and going to these different locations. This could be helpful and cool if you have a ministry that has outreach meetings or you support missions. You can put the locations of those different missions, or maybe you have different satellite locations for your ministry in different areas and they're all going on at the same time. Or maybe you want to highlight the progression of where the ministry has moved from and to or whatnot. So you can use a lot of different, use this application in a lot of different ways for your presentation, but it's a cool way to make a video. It involves a number of different tools. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at Google Earth, right? So I've typed in Google Earth in my Google search, and I can select it here and it pulls up, and you can see here that I've got a couple of different projects already. What you'll be doing is selecting new at the top left there, and we're going to say new project, and then it brings you to Google Earth. Now the next step is going to be to have some locations, some countries or cities or wherever it is that you want to include in this video. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to include some cities I've been to in the world. So let's do Mombasa. And so I can click that and you'll see it animate and show you Mombasa. The next step is important. You have to say save to project on the bottom right here. All right. So I click that and now you'll see Mombasa listed there. I'm going to say, let's do Daytona in Florida. And these are just some of my favorite cities. Okay. And I clicked add over there. And now we're going to do the next one. I'm just going back up to the top left from the search. And let's put in, what's another place? San Francisco. We'll put that in. And one of the things I like is when you pick a location that's very distant from your current location. That always helps, all right? It gives it more motion in the video. So I'm going to select Save to Project for San Francisco. And then we'll go to Helsinki, Finland. And it takes you all the way across. And it's, you know, we're not recording any animation right away, but I want you to get an idea of what it's going to look like. That's the idea, right? So it does that. And then we're going to select another one. Let's do Owensboro, Kentucky. There we go. I did some work there once. Save that. And let's see here. Let's think of another city that we like. Let's do Kakamega. Kakamega, Kenya. Save that one. And you can make this list as long or as short as you want. For the video on my intro that I made, I think I had like 50 different cities. And so you would make your list, you would compile it here. And then once you're done, you look up at the top right and you'll see an option that says slideshow, right? And so you'll see that and you can click it and it takes you to the first city on your list. And you got your table of contents down here and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can click that to make it small. You can't move it around, right? But you can arrow through and navigate through. It automatically has this info bar on the right side. That's really cool. And then at the bottom, it's got like some 3D mapping options. You can do some of that. I didn't do any of that for mine. I just really wanted to see the locations. And so what I might do is I'm gonna go back out. So let's go back out. I'm gonna hit this top left. And I'm gonna add one more city and I'm gonna move it to the top. Let's do a city in the United States. Oh, Boston. Oh. All right, so we'll start from Boston is what I want to do. So I'm gonna save that. And you can move these up. So I wanted to start here. So I want to put that one first. So you order these however you want to. So the reason I typed them in the order I did was because I did want to see that motion throughout. And so you can see here I've got America, Africa, America, another side of America. So this is East Coast, this is West Coast, then going back to Far East in Europe, and then going back to America, Midwest or middle of America, and then going back over to Africa. So this is back and forth movement that happens when you select them from different parts of the world. And the same thing would happen if you picked different cities, right? So if you pick different parts of a city or different cities, you'll see that transition back and forth. And there might be a way that you can control how much it zooms in. Let's see here. If I hit this here, you can hit the plus sign down on the bottom right, and it'll zoom in a little bit more. And if I click here, if I hit the little, oh, I want to see that. So let's see what it would look like if I were to go to the slideshow. So it zooms back out kind of in the default way, and then you would just arrow through. So now we've got, I think, 6 or 7 different cities. Now I'm going to turn on screen recording on my computer. And so on an Apple, I hit the Shift, Command, and the 5 button, and I get this little camera icon to record my screen. And the most important part of this process is picking where you want it to record, right? And so the bottom part of my screen, when I do that Shift, Command, 5, you'll get an option here to record your screen on a Mac, and you can pick the different options you have. You can pick where you want to save it to. I got mine saving to movies, and then you can pick which microphone you want to use. You can pick some other options, settings down here to show your mouse clicks and all that kind of stuff. But this is important. I don't usually do any voice on mines, but if you were going to do a voiceover and talk through it, you want to make sure you pick the proper microphone for this process. And then I've got it set to record the entire screen. You can pick a certain section of your screen if you wanted to, but I just do the entire screen to keep it simple. And then when I select up here, when I go back and I pick up here with my mouse, it turns into a camera, and I simply click that, and it's actually recording. And so I'm in my slideshow, and now all I do now, since it's recording, is I just click the little arrow on the bottom left here, and you'll see it takes me to Mombasa. I let it populate, and then I go to the next one. And I don't move my mouse because my mouse is being recorded, so I'm going to cut that part out later on. So it takes me over to this next place in Daytona. Click the mouse again to go to the next location. It takes you over the other side of the country to San Francisco. Click it again. It takes you all the way across the globe over to Helsinki in Finland, and you see it populate. And this is going to probably have to do with your internet speed and or your processing power and stuff like that. And then I go over to the next one. It takes me back over Owensboro, Kentucky, and you'll see the little words populating there. And then we go all the way over back to Africa to Kakamega. All right. Once you're done there, you've got to stop your video. So I'm going to go down to my other screen, and in my taskbar at the top of the screen, it lets me stop. And the next step is to find that video. So we got to turn on our Finder. We're going to go to our movies, and you'll see here it's just called screen recording. All right. And so if I space bar on top of that, it'll let you see it, and it's playing really loud. So let me mute my computer here. So it hears me talking because it was recording my microphone, but you'll see you've got your video right there. And so now we've got this screen capture. It's ready to be edited. So I'm going to spacebar to close that out. And the next thing we've got to do is we've got to open up Davinci Resolve. So I'm going to go down here, and we're going to go to Davinci Resolve. In Davinci, it gives you some options as to what you want to create. So I'm going to go to New Project. I'm going to call this Google Earth. and then it gives me an option to download the latest version. I'm going to skip that for now. They had some updates, which is good. And if you see that, you can update. All right, now I'm in Davinci Resolve, but I need to get the file that I just created. So I would go to this bottom tab, and it's called Media, the very first option there. And you're going to go through your computer, you're going to find that media. So I'm going to my Macintosh HD system, and then my name, and then I'm looking for my movies folder, and it's the screen recording option. And so you can organize this however you want to. You can organize it that way. And let's see here. I would say, let's see if I can, okay, let's organize it by the date modified. And all I did was just click on that top bar there. And let's see here, Bible projects. What are these dates? This is going all the way back. So let's go flip it the other way around. So we got screen recording here. And so I want to take this screen recording and I'm going to drag it over into my master bin here. This is where my actual project is. And you got a couple different options here. You can go to the next tab over, which is the cut page, and it'll let you do some simple edits, which is fine if you're new to DaVinci. You can drag this down into here or into here, and it's going to take it to the same place. This is just a different view of your actual video. So it shows the full clip of your video here. This down here shows you a more magnified version of it, and it shows you the audio as well. And what I would say to do here is to look at where you want to start, because you're going to cut that out. So we're going to scroll. I'm going to scrub over, pull this over this way. And you see my mouse moving in here? I don't want that. So I'm going to pull that over. And I want to make sure my mouse is there. All right. So now I just clicked it. I saw the mouse click there. What we want to do here is we want to put a cut right there. All right. So we can go here to this scrub bar. And I can right click on it. And it gives you an icon of scissors. It gives you the player to the left and to the right. So I'm going to cut that. And then let's see here. If I right click on it again, let me see if it'll get rid of that. It just selects the left side, and then I can hit delete, and it deleted that first part. And so now if I hit the space bar to play it, it's going to play through, and it's going to automatically start up where I wanted it to start. Okay. And it just plays through. And I just hit the space bar to let it play. And you can see the volume going up and down from when I was talking, because it was recording the microphone from my actual MacBook. All right. And so you'll let it play through. And if you see a part that you like, or I should say that you don't like, you can pause it by hitting the space bar again, and you can right click on your scrubber here, the little red bar here, and you can hit the scissors again if you need to put another cut and another cut, and you can delete that little section that it creates, right? But I'm going to play it through, and I think there was a section where I kind of let it sit for a little while, and I want to cut some of that out. And I can't remember which city it was in. So it's sitting there, and I think it was here in Helsinki. So Helsinki sat for quite a while. All right, so let's stay. I'm going to scrub it back to where it was sitting at Helsinki. That's fine. And I'm going to right click here. Actually, yeah, I'll cut here, and I want to scroll backwards. I want to see how long it was. Okay. So it was about, and I'm just looking up here at the word Helsinki, and I'm scrubbing this over. And so everything populated in Helsinki and about here. And so what I would probably do is cut it there. So I would right click on this again and select the little scissor icon, click this little section because we don't need that, and I'm going to delete it. And you'll notice everything just kind of drops over. Okay, it slides over. Now I've got that shortened, and I can actually move this over here if I want to. You see that cut I just made there, and then I deleted the other part up here in the front, but I can hit the space bar again, and you'll see that it doesn't have any major effects because everything was standing still when I did that cut. And this was Kakamega, and then that's the end. All right. And so I'll hit space bar, and I'll just end it there. And we will right click on the playhead, hit the scissors, and we don't need this extra part where I had to delete it. So I deleted that part out. Okay, that's done. Now, the thing that I didn't like about this is that it showed my top bar and my bottom section of the screen. I didn't want to show any of that. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to crop that part out. And there's a lot of different ways you can do this, but simply we're going to select the actual video here, and I'm gonna hold shift to see it. It'll let me select all the videos. And if you go over to the right side, you'll see that you've got this inspector window that shows up. And if you don't have it, you can click it and it'll show up here. Okay, so you're gonna need to have your inspector window, and we're gonna select this option that says cropping. And in the cropping, it gives you an option to crop left, crop right, crop top, and bottom. And so I'm going to select the bottom. I'm going to slide that little slider over and watch what happens. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, so I needed to pull it over so you can see it, but I'm going to pull this over and you'll see it actually bring up, and it makes it black because it's taken away a portion of the video at the bottom, which I don't want. I'm gonna do the same thing at the top. So we're gonna select crop top and we're gonna drag that down. And all I'm doing is just taking it out. All right. And it says untitled project, so I don't even want that part. So I'm gonna take that part out. I just wanna see the name of the country in this tab over here, and then the map in the middle. So we got a black portion at the top, a black portion at the bottom. That stuff is all cropped out. So it's literally nothing there, but it will show black. All right. And so we've got that part done. The next step is to go into the next tab here, because in the next tab, I'm going to put something behind it. All right. And you can put whatever you want. I'm going to go to my edit and I'm going to see the page now. So it looks a little different. You don't have that extra section of video at the very top here. You got a whole different set of menus along here. And this particular area here in the edit window, this is where I usually live in Davinci. But for a lot of you, you might be first-time users of Davinci Resolve. And so you can do everything that I just did in the cut page. I can do all that in the edit page just as well, all right? Because I can go to the beginning, I can drag my playhead. It moves a little different now, so I can drag it and the video stays still. Earlier when I dragged, the video would move, the whole timeline would shift over, whereas this, the playhead shifts and the video stands still. I can hit space bar again, and it'll play through, and you'll see it playing right there. Now I've got mine's widescreen, and it shows two different monitors or two different screens here. So you got a black one, and then you got the actual map video. If I hit this little icon here at the top, it says single viewer mode, and it looks a lot like what we saw earlier, where you just see the one single view. But you can also, if you have a widescreen computer, or monitor, I should say, you can make it show double screens. This is helpful if you've got some other source material here that you have from your media pool that you want to have inside of there, so you can actually preview some stuff and then decide to drag it down into your section here. Now, what I want to do is I want to add in my my favorite backdrop. So it could be a video backdrop in terms of a layer of video if you want to, or it can be just a static color backdrop if you want to. And actually what we'll do is we're going to just do a color backdrop. I'm not even going to go into adding another layer of video, but I want to add a layer of color behind it so it all stays in Davinci. All right. And so I'm going to select all of these video clips because we need to do something up under this layer of video. So I need to drag this layer of video up. Okay. And notice that we got video 1 and video 2. So now we've got space here to add some content. Let's select the effects. And on the left side, this is a huge screen in Davinci where it shows you all these different kinds of effects and all the different settings you can change and all that kind of stuff. We'll talk more about those in a little while, but we're going to go to this option that says generators. And what generators is graphic pieces, I guess you could say. And they actually do have some that actually move, right? So you can see those there. I can hover over, but I was going to pick one that doesn't move. There's a color. You can pick something like that and change the different colors, but you also can pick from their different color graphics. I say colors, but the fusion generators that you got here, that one's pretty cool. I think I like the gradient lines as well. The honeycombs, it looks pretty cool. I'm just scrubbing across to see if it moves at all. And then they've also got some stinger transitions that are kind of built in now. But I'm going to select, oh, look at this one. I like the cubes as well. So the cubes and the gradient lines, the disc wall, I don't think that does anything. Let me see if it moves. I'm gonna drag that over because I like how simple that one is. So if I drag it down up under there and I hit the space bar, let's see if those discs move. Yeah, so the discs, they don't move. They just kind of sit there. Okay. So I want something that moves. So we'll delete that one. I'm just selecting it down here and I'm gonna hit the delete button. And let's see what it looks like with something that actually moves. So the honeycombs don't move, but the hexagon, when I drag left to right on top of those move, and then the gradient lines, they move. So let's drag the gradient lines down. And I'm putting it on that video 1 layer. So let's see what that looks like. And so you can see some subtle movement there. I kind of like the feel of that. It's real subtle, so a little too subtle for me. I want it to be a little bit more visible, so I'm gonna delete that, and let's do the cube array. I'm just gonna drag that down. And notice wherever my playhead is where you're seeing. So I moved that to the very beginning of the actual video clip here, but you can't see it back there on our display. So I'm gonna make this be a single display. But I move over here, now you can see it, all right? And so let's see here, if I click that now, and so you'll see how those are moving in the background there. And it's kind of nice. I like it. It's kind of busy, so we're going to do something to kind of tone it down a little bit. All right. This is the designer in me. This is the editor in me trying to make that work right. All right. So we've got this cube background. So I can left click on this cube array background, and we can change the colors of the cubes, which is nice. We can do some control in terms of the numbers of the cubes. Right now it's set to 10, and I'm guessing they're talking about a cross. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. So this is how many cubes there are across in terms of the number. So you can make it be more cubes. They'll be smaller, right? You see that? So I went to 23, and look how small they are. If I hit the space bar, you'll see how all these little cubes moving around back there. But I really liked it at 10. It was a little bit more visually, it was more visible. It's moving a little slower because I dragged it out to be long. But let's do 10. Just drag that over. And now I just drag the end of it. When you see this little icon here, it means you can drag that clip to wherever you want. If you just hover over the end of any clip, it'll let you drag it out as far as you want to if there's more clip. Now the generators, they don't have a beginning, they don't have an ending point. They literally, as long as you want them to be, they just repeat themselves, right? They're just like a little loop. So let's do that one there. And I say a loop, it's actually just slowing down. So when I drag it out, it makes it go slower. And so I'm going to speed it up a little bit later on. But this is the direction the cubes are going, the blend. I wouldn't do anything with that, but you can play with that. So you can change the texture blend if you wanted to, dragging that left to right. I don't see it make a lot of changes. The tone blend, you'll see how it changes and gives it a lighter or darker feel. So you can do something like that. I kind of like it to be a little bit of contrast there. So I want it to be a little bit dark there. And then you can change this color by clicking on this little color bar. And so if I wanted my colors to be a little bit different tone of blue, we could do something like that. We could even make it be like a gray tone back there. I like the gray. Let's see what yellow looks like. Yellow is super bright. Don't want yellow. Sky blue is cool. I like that one, and I like the gray ones as well, only because I'm going to I want it to be more subtle than anything. Let's see, sky blue. I think I like that blue. It kind of matches a little bit of the water, and so we'll keep that, all right? So we've got that there, and then we're going to do one more thing here. So we're going to go to the settings of that particular clip. So we got the generator itself, and there's some settings down here. These are the detail settings. It doesn't give you a lot of options there, but if you go to this top bar next to generator, you're going to see the settings for the actual video clip itself, not the effect in terms of the details of the effect, but the details of the video clip. So we see the same thing we saw earlier. We get the cropping option, so I can crop this if I want to. We can do all those kinds of things. So let's look at the composite mode. And I can change this, the opacity of it. I can make it be more transparent, so it's less visible. I can make it be more transparent so it's more visible. All right, so I'm going to bring it down, tone it down just a bit to kind of make it match the water. And that's that. And then we can change the speed of it as well. All right. And so this speed option, well, it doesn't let me change the speed. Let's see if it'll let me change it by doing Command R. Nope. So it doesn't let you change the speed of the composite videos. Let's see if I do this one, you'll see that it gives you the options there. That's what I was looking for, is those options. But on the composites, it doesn't give you an option to change the speed. That's interesting. Okay. So there's ways around that. What I'm going to do is, because I do want it to play a little bit faster. See how the composite is there and it's real subtle. It's not moving very fast. I want it to move faster. So I'm going to make it be, this is about 53 seconds. I'm going to make it be about 3 minutes long. All right. And so on a Apple computer, I can hold down the Option key and I can scroll my mouse wheel down and it'll zoom out. Okay. And so I'm giving myself more timeline room, and see how my timeline is shrinking. I'm seeing more time over here. So I'm going to bring this over to about 3 minutes. Let's do 4 minutes. We'll bring it down to up to 4 minutes. Okay. And then I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to select new compound clip. And this new compound clip, I'm going to call it just background. And this is something you want to do if you want to change the speed. Okay. So I'm changing the speed of this generator. And so now I changed it to say this is just called background now. It's not called generator, which was called the cube array. It's not called cube array anymore. However, the cube array is inside of that compound clip, and anything else that I had selected would be a part of that compound clip. So it's this combination of different clips together, okay? Now I've got this option to change the speed. So I can go in here and I can say, okay, I want it to play at 200, let's say 300%. I want it to play faster, and see how I made it a lot shorter. So now if I go here and I press play, you'll see those cubes moving in there a little bit quicker. So I'm gonna make it be 400% to see if we can get it to go a little bit faster, to shorten it up. All right. And so now you can see the cubes moving a little bit faster. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see more cube movement in there. All right. And then I'm going to speed it up as much as I can to make it match the length of that video. And I'm just scrolling this little wheel and I'm looking at the distance here. And so I'm going to pull it back out to be a little bit slower because it ran right past. And let's do something like that. Well, let's do 431. And then I'm going to drag this out to there. All right. We can make it a little bit faster. Select that again. Let's go to 450. Let's see if it'll let us have more space. Yeah. Okay. So we've got that there. We've got this backdrop. We've got the video. And that's pretty much all you need to have, right? So we would export this as a separate clip, and that's there, and it's playing. Now, let's say you didn't want that. You want it to be just a plain solid backdrop, right? So you might say, I want it to be a solid backdrop. We can do that too. Let's add another layer though, okay? So this is gonna give you an idea of what it could look like and how Davinci works. For some of you all, like I said, this might be your first time using it. So we can select these again and I can drag them up, or I can click on the clip here and I can just right click into, actually on the left side here, I can right click here and select add track. So I clicked in this space here and I can add a track, and it automatically adds a track right above, okay? And I'm gonna put in these honeycombs. The honeycombs look kind of cool. All right. And so there's the honeycombs, and they've just got this nice solid background. I say solid, nice honeycomb background, right? Really bright, really vibrant. And I'm just going to drop that on top and drag it all the way to the end of this video. And I can hold the Option key down and I can scroll up on my keyboard on my MacBook, and it zooms in so I can look and see if everything is in line. And I'm looking to make sure everything's the same length, and that's good. So I'm gonna hold Option key and zoom and scroll down with 2 fingers, and it'll zoom back out. And so I can see everything in the same timeline. All right, so this is my entire timeline. I've got 3 layers. I've got this background layer that we made the cubes in. They're invisible right now because there's something right on top. And so this is a program that is layered, and it's layered just like pretty much anything else you work in, like in Photoshop or something like that. Even in PowerPoint or Keynote or something like that, you can actually move things behind and in front. Canva gives you options for layers, so you can actually move things on top. In here, you actually see the layers, right? So everything's just a layer. You don't see the actual image. You can't right click on this and make it be behind it like you would in Canva. You literally have to just drag it on top or below the next thing, okay? And there's a middle bar here that divides your audio and your video. And so I want to see more video clips than I do audio clips because there's nothing down there anyway. All right. And so I want to do another background that I started out doing, which was just the multicolor background. All right. So we're going to right click in this space here, and we're going to do add track. And I'm going to select this 4-color gradient. And I'm going to drag that in, and I'm going to select the end of it and just drag it over all the way to the end. And it just kind of locks in. And if yours is not locking into the end, you want to make sure that this little magnet icon is selected. It's like a snapping icon, and it allows everything that you do to kind of snap to the next line or to the other item above it or below it or whatnot. So that's something that's really helpful in this program. Now, I've got that 4-color gradient. Now look at this. So I got blue at the bottom and kind of like this reddish, yellowish at the top, but I don't see any of these other ones. In order to see the things below a certain layer, you have to move that thing over. So I might say, okay, let me drag the beginning of this over, okay? And so now this is exposed. What that looks like is honeycombs are right there. When I play that, hit the space bar, it's gonna switch over because honeycombs are here, but this is on top of the honeycomb. So that's what you're gonna see because they both are filling up the full screen, which is the background. And so I can drag pieces over to show all pieces if you want to. So if you wanted to have multiple backgrounds throughout your video, you need to make the backgrounds be visible. So this main one, with the first one, we started with the cube array. It's there and the cubes are moving. But then you're going to notice here, it gets covered up with the honeycombs because the honeycombs are on top of that layer. And then this one's the 4-color gradient on top of that layer. So it just works in layers. And you can drag these layers wherever you want them to start and stop for these generators because they're infinite. They don't have a start and end point like a video would. Your video, it has a distinct length of time that it is. So you can't drag it forever. It goes as far as you record it, okay? But I really like the color gradient there. But let's look and edit that real quick. So to edit your generators, you would go to the right side in your inspector and select generator. And it gives you all the 4 colors that are included. And it shows you the center X and Y position, which is right in the center. So everything is equal. So there's 4 quadrants in this, and each part fades into the next equally. If you wanted it to be different, you can drag this over, and you'll see. Let me make this. And to get rid of the view of one, you can actually go to the left side and say disable video track by clicking the little film clip, and you can just see. You can make that become invisible. So that layer's still there, but I hid it basically. Okay. And then I can enable it if I want to by clicking it again. But we're going to disable it for now so we can see this gradient change. So I can make this be the center Y, center X change, and it makes it to where it moves that center point over. If ever you have to reset these, you can go up to the top and click the reset option, or you can just double click on the words. When you double click on the words, they can default back to 0, but you can also do the same thing by clicking up here on this reset icon in the top corner. All right. So I like that there's 4 colors, but I want to change the colors. I want to make them be, let's see, so that's red. I want it to be more orange. Let's do orange. And then the yellow is nice. Let's see, it's not banana yellow, it's lemon yellow. I like the lemon yellow. So we'll keep that. I want this bottom portion though to be a darker blue. So I like this blue. I want this one to be a different shade of blue. So maybe something like that. And or let's see here. I like that one as well. The darker blue is pretty drastic, but let's see if we can do some kind of gray. Gray is too dull. I like the green, but I want it to be more consistent. So I'm gonna make it be this lighter blue. All right. So we kind of got this effect, but I want to switch those around. I want this to be the darker side, right? Because that's the darker side there. This the light. I want this to be the dark, and I want this corner to be the light. So the lower right color was here, and then the lower left color is here. So I want that to be a little bit lighter. So something like that. All right. Now let's enable this clip again, this video track. And you'll see here, it almost looks solid, but it's completely blue, but it kind of has this gradation to it. This one the same way. And the reason I did that is because later on in FreeShow, I'm going to put some text up here, and I want it to be semi the same color to be able to be visible. In this one, I will probably put some darker text because it's so bright. And then down here, I will put white text because it's so much darker. All right. So we've got our video there. And notice that there's more space up here than it is down here. We can change that. I'm going to select both of these by just clicking and dragging. And we can shift the entire position, okay? So this is in that transform option because I cropped it in different ways. So the crop, you see this one's at 71 pixels. This one's at 54 pixels. So if I wanted to try to center it up a little bit, I can shift the position, the Y position up and down. I can just drag that to the left and to the right, and you'll see that go up and down. And I just click my mouse over it, and I just drag to the right and to the left. And I would just kind of balance it out a little bit to where it looks a little more even. For me, that would be my preference. And then I want to put a shadow on these two clips here. So my video clips there. So to do that, we got to go to some effects. So you got two different effects. You got the effects here, and you can look and see if you see anything that says shadow, and I don't see anything there. Then you've got this option called open effects, and you can go here, and there's a lot more options. So you can blur some things. You can do all kinds of different blurs there. So it's called Resolve Effects Blur. And then we got color changes. We've got camera shake options if you wanted to. I'm not going to do any of that right now. I'm just looking for a shadow. And so this is light changes. And this is the fun part about Davinci. It's like unbelievably robust. And you can get a free version of this. And you'll have most of these features, if not all of these. There'll be some limitations with it. I know that it doesn't give you some of the editing for video options, but I believe a lot of these will be there. All right. And so I don't see that there. And then I can go to filters. Don't see anything there. So what I do is I'll go to open effects here, and I can go up to the top right. And I'm probably just overlooked it. I can see it right there. There's shadow there. But if you wanted to find it, you can click on that little search icon at the top here, and you can do a search and type in shadow. Click here and type in shadow, and you'll see the drop shadow option there. All right. So I'm going to drag this onto these clips. Now notice when I drag it over, you'll see that it turns both of them white because I have both of them selected, which is what I want. And now you'll see that it's got a bit of a shadow there. Okay. Now that effect applied to these two clips. To see it, so I'm going to select, you can only select one clip at a time to see that effect. Let's do here at the top right in the inspector, you'll see an option that says effects. And so I can see that there's a drop shadow effect on this first video clip that I've got highlighted in red here. And I can turn it on and off. So I can see it go off. And then when you add it, that's what it looks like. Okay. You can change the strength of it. You can change the angle, the drop distance, and the blur by just sliding those little balls to the left or to the right. So you can slide this slider further to make it down, further to make it shorter. And I can also just double click it to make it go back to the default. Okay. You can even change the color of the shadow. If you wanted it to be, I don't know, a dark blue or burgundy or something like that, you can do something like that. I'm going to cancel that because I don't necessarily want that. I like the black shadow with it being a little bit translucent. So it's at 50% opacity in terms of the strength. Okay. And that's perfect. I like that view. And it works for what I want because this is the darker side anyway. So down here, I'm going to have white text on top of it, which is great. And you can add that white text here in Davinci if you wanted to. You would go up to your effects again, and you can go to titles, and then I'm going to delete my search. So I don't need my search anymore. But if you go to titles, you'll see all these different title effects. You can add in just simple text. You can add in custom title text if you want to. And to do that, you would just drag it down on top of your clip, just like you did everything else. And you'll see that you've got your title there. Same way with like the generators, you can make your text be infinitely long. You can drag it across the entire clip if you want to. If you wanted to do your entire project in Davinci and you didn't want to change the titles of it in FreeShow, this is what I would recommend you do is actually add the title here. So it'll be there as a part of the show. So you can go here. So I got an extra layer now. So I got 5 video layers. We're not using all of these. So we can actually delete these bottom ones because we're not even seeing them because we don't even want them. But I wanted to show you guys the different options you had for those, right? So for this text right here, we wanted to say safe travels for our missionaries or something like that. Let's say that, safe travels. I'm gonna make it a capital. For our missionaries. All right. And it's right in the middle. It's center of the screen. I don't necessarily want this to be centered, so I'm going to go to the options to, in my settings is where I typically go, but you can do some things here. You can change and adjust where it's aligned. And so this one is aligned in the center here. So I can drag this over and it brings it down just a bit. Not my preference. The anchor here, you can select that anchor's at the bottom. That doesn't do anything. So I'm gonna click that. I think it was in the center there. What I would do is I would go to the settings up here and I would just change your position of the entire clip. So it literally shifts everything down. And I would change the Y positions, right? So we drag that down like so. So you'll see that say safe travels for our missionaries at the very bottom. And it's just big enough to where it fits perfectly fine, but I can go back to the title settings and change that size. So I can drag this little dot over to make it smaller, right? And that dot does that. But I like to just click and drag left and right on the actual numbers next to the dot because it gives you a lot more granular control. All right, so I'm just dragging to the left and see how much more control I have. It's not as jumpy. And so I would like it to be something like that. All right. For the shadow, I want to add a shadow to this as well. I would go back to my open effects and I would do a search for shadow. And I will add in a drop shadow here. All right. And this is because I've got that custom title that I made. If I were to just do a basic title, the shadow effect is already a part of the details of that piece. And we'll show you that. I'll show you that in a minute. But this is the actual text plus. So the custom text, it just treats itself like a video, but you can still type in new text as you want to by going up to. So if I select this and select video, you'll see the title option there and you can type in whatever you want to here. Okay. All right. So, but for that effect, I want to change the strength of that shadow and I want to change the way it looks. I want it to be a little bit harder than that because it looks really soft. So I'm going to make it be darker by sliding this bar over and I'm going to change the distance. So I'm going to drag this over to the left to make it shorter distance. And then I want the blur to be less blurry. All right. And I drag that over and you'll see that the shadow becomes more defined. See how much darker and more defined that is. And that's something that is based on preference, right? So I'll make it be a little bit smaller. Let's bring that down. All right. So I like safe travels for our missionaries there. Let's add in another layer. So we've got these layers here. If they start to become too big, you can arrange your screen. So I can move my mouse over this dividing line in the middle of the screen and I can drag this up and it reveals more space there. It shrinks the video down, but it gives me more space on my timeline. The other option is to hold down the shift button and then just scroll down with 2 fingers. Okay. And what it does is it shrinks the items or expands them. So I can scroll up and it makes them bigger. I can scroll down and it makes them smaller. And I don't necessarily need to see exactly what's in these. So making them smaller just gives me more space. All right. And I can pull this back down and I still have space. Okay. But the basic text, if we want to do the same thing with basic text, let's put this down here. I'm going to drag that down. You'll notice it pops up and it makes another layer. So now I'm on video layer 6. So I'm going to drag that across to be all the way across this 40, how long this is, 50 something seconds, 53 second clip. If you ever want to know how long exactly your clips are or your entire timeline is, the top left, you'll see the length of it is 53:21. My cursor or my playhead is at 11 seconds and 11 frames, and that's here. And so you'll see this slide back and forth, and you'll see that frame marker here as well to show you where your playhead is. And that's just this red line, and it shows you exactly where you are in terms of detailed seconds and frames. And if you were minutes in, it will show you minutes, seconds, and frames as well. And so we got this basic title now at the top. This basic title, it defaults to the middle as well. but the options are a little bit different. They're not as robust, but they do give you a little bit more options here right up front. So you got a stroke option, you got the shadow, and you got a background option and all that kind of stuff, right? And these can be overwhelming. So I'm showing you multiples just so you can get an idea of different ways you can make these edits, because just like in most other programs, there's probably 4 or 5 different ways you can do everything in DaVinci, right? I can say the same thing about Keynote, FreeShow. FreeShow is a little bit more streamlined to where it's not 4 or 5 different ways to do different things, but I can think of 2 or 3 different ways to do a lot of different things in FreeShow, right? So we got safe travels to our missionaries, and then I want this up here to say missions on the move. Okay, so let's move. I'm gonna go over here to the left, to the right. I'm sorry. I've got it selected so I can type in there, and I'm going to type in all caps this time. I'm going to say missions on the move. All right. And you'll see it change there real time, but you're editing it here, okay, on the right side. Now, I don't want the color to be the same, but I also don't want it to be in the same position. In the basic text, you can literally change the position of it a lot easier than you can on the other one. So I can literally change the Y position here and just drag it to the right, and it moves it straight up, okay? Now, remember how I said I got this really light background here, and for a light background, I'm gonna probably use a darker title. So I wanna change the color of the title, and I think I want it to be like a navy blue. And so we can see that says that there, missions on the move. It may look a little too dark. I would probably go with that blue. Let's see if we do a lighter blue. Yeah, I like this kind of royal blue. And if you wanted to pick any other color, you can change it. Red doesn't look bad. Burgundy looks a little better to me because I like the contrast between burgundy and yellow. That's kind of like a purple. So I would say the burgundy is good. The blue is good too. I like the blue because it brings in the blue down here. So I'm gonna say okay and keep that blue. And if we wanted to, we can add in other options. So I'm gonna scroll down here. So we can add a stroke around the blue, but the stroke is set to black. But let's see what it looks like. So if I make I'm gonna zoom it, make it really big. See how it's changing the look of that? So it's putting a black stroke around the blue text. But I would rather it be a different color. So let's make it be white. And that does a whole nother thing. So we'll say, okay, we'll save that. But I want it to be even shorter. So I want it to be like 1 or 2. And there we go. So we got that there. And I'll say right now the font is semi-bold. Let's see what it looks like if it's completely bold, right? Instead of semi-bold. And you got font family, but then you also have the font face, which changes if you want it to be italic and all those kind of things. And that's there. So I can make it extra bold, right? I like it extra bold with that white line around it. That looks great. Okay, so now we go back to the beginning of our video, and I can hit spacebar, and you'll see that it starts to play. And we've got missions on the move, and we literally have made this complex, well, to me it's complex. It looks really cool and complex of a video. We use Google Earth, we use Davinci Resolve, and we made our titles in Davinci Resolve. And you can literally play this anywhere, right? You can play this into a PowerPoint. You can play this in FreeShow. You can play this just on your computer as a video. You can put it on YouTube as just a video. But now let's talk about how do we get this video out of FreeShow. So I'm gonna pause it by hitting the space bar again. And we've got all these different layers. Now, note to self, you don't need to have unnecessary layers in Davinci Resolve. So these down here, I'm using the 4-color gradient, right? I'm using the screen recording because that's the one that has the map on it. And I'm using the text in the text missions, but I'm not using that honeycomb anymore. So I'm going to select that, and I can delete it here, and it goes away. I can delete the background that we don't need anymore either, and it can go away as well. And then I can get rid of these extra layers. So I can right click on this side here in the gray, and I can say delete track, and it removes that entire track, and it shifts everything down, and it just makes your you can say delete track, or you can even option here to say delete empty tracks, and it'll get rid of audio and video tracks that you're not using. And it just cleans up your workspace quite a bit, right? And this simplifies for your export and all that kind of stuff. Now, the video starts out sitting there like that, and that's fine. But what I would say is you want to have some type of intro or transition or something like that for this. Now, earlier we talked about it recorded my voice. I don't want my voice in this video. So down here are the audio tracks, and you can see the lines, the actual movement of the audio volume. That's my voice talking. So in order to get rid of these audio tracks, we're going to have to get rid of them. We're going to delete them. So to select them, I'm going to hold down the Option key on my keyboard, and then I'm going to drag over those with my mouse, right? I'm going to click and drag, and it selects just those actual audio clips at the bottom, okay? If I wanted it to be, or let's say if I just drag without hitting the Option key, watch what happens. It selects both the video clip at the top and the audio clip below. They're connected. They're linked together in Davinci. Until you unlink them, they'll always be connected together. Even though I did split that track, it still kept the link for this half of the video and this half of the video together with the audio, all right? So I can click this one and it selects the audio and the video, or I can click that one and it selects the audio and the video as well. But I don't want to delete my video, so I'm gonna hold down Option, and that basically just lets you do a singular selection, but I'm gonna drag over 2, and it picks both tracks, but not the video piece of it. So I'm gonna hit delete there. And then we need to add some music to this, right? So you might say, okay, I don't want to play the music in FreeShow. I want the music to be a part of the video automatically. So we can select the media pool, right, that we did earlier, or you can just open up, I'm gonna go down here and I'm gonna go to my Finder window. I'm just gonna do a new Finder, and I've got some music in my music folder, and I'll show you how easy it is to, you can just drag music in. So I'm gonna just drag this music into my media pool, and that's there. So I'll pull that back out the way. And now I've got this music clip here, okay? And so I can select this clip and I can double click it and it brings it into the timeline there. I can press space bar to play it. And you can hear it a little bit there. And I'm going to drag that into my clip, and all the music always goes to the bottom. It never can go to the top. So you won't see an option to select or to release it until you get to the bottom, and then you'll see it kind of show that it can be played there or be dropped there. All right. Now I don't want it to go on forever, because look how long this is. It goes on. If I hold down the Option and I drag with 2 fingers down on my keypad or my mouse pad, it goes on for like over 3 minutes, almost probably 4 minutes here. So yeah, so notice up here at the top, it goes 4 minutes and 9 seconds. And since I added it to my timeline, it made my entire video be 4 minutes and 9 seconds, even though there's no video out here. If I move my playhead here, there's no video, but there is audio. So if you tried to export this without clipping this, you're gonna have a 4-minute video, and the last 3 minutes of it is just gonna be completely black. So it'll go from this to that, and there's nothing there. Okay, and it'll just keep playing music. Okay, so we don't want that. So we're going to go to the very end here, and we're going to go to select it, and then we're going to go up to our timeline. Right, in our timeline, you get an option here that says razor. You get an option that says split clip, join clips, detect scene cuts, and all that kind of stuff. But what I'm looking for is the razor. So it's the option that is just the letter C on my computer, and those are settings that you want to go up there because I want you to see how to use it. I typically use my speed editor to do all of my edits, so I don't even use my keyboard for it, but you can use C, and when I press C, it splits this into 2 separate tracks. I got a title of the track here, and then I got another title there. That's how you know it's 2 separate tracks. So I can click on this one here on the right and hit delete, and it goes away. And now everything's the same length. It's back to 53 minutes or 53 seconds and 21 frames. All right, I'm gonna hold Option, scroll with 2 fingers up to make it zoom back in on my mouse pad. On your, if you've got a regular mouse, I'm not sure how you would zoom in. With that, what you can do though is you can use this little slider bar here to zoom in and out as much as you want, right in the middle, right up under your video player. Okay, that's the visual version of it. Okay, so let's go back and make this be one single video. We've got our audio the way we want, but it starts out here, right in Boston, and then it ends. Let's see how it ends. I want to make sure we don't have too much extra stuff there. So it goes to Kakamega, and it ends. That's fine. Okay, so here's the deal. All of that happened. What we need to do is we need to make the video, the audio have like a to make the audio fade out. Since this is a video that's standing alone, we want to have it some type of completed end to it. And usually what that means is everything kind of comes to a close, right? So the video will come to a close, the audio will come to a close. And that typically happens with a fade, all right? And so I would just go over here to the end of the clip, and I'm gonna move my playhead out the way. So at the end of every clip, if you move your mouse over, you notice these little white little caret icons come up over the end of each clip at the top. And so you'll see if you hover over that little white bar there, it lets you select it and drag. And I dragged it over to where it said 1 second. And I can do the same thing for this. I can drag that over to where it says 1 second. And before that, you'll see all these extra numbers. Those are just frames, okay? So 7, 10, 12 frames, 13 frames. And then this is a 24 frame per second timeline. So it's 24 frames equal 1 second. Frames are just like images. So 24 images are making 1 second of video, all right? And so I'm gonna make this one go to 1 second as well. And what that does is it gives us this fade out effect to where everything concludes, all right? So now when we play it, it just kind of fades out, okay? So that's a general way to make a simple fade out, all right? Now, if you wanted to do something different, you could go to your effects and you can go up to the left side and select video transitions. Now, the video transitions are helpful, but we got so many different tracks. I don't want to do that and add a video transition to each of them. I would probably simplify this and just make it one big compound clip, right? So we talked about that earlier, but since we got everything the way we want it inside, I'm going to select everything. Okay, you can do Command A if you wanted to on my Mac. You can do Windows A, I guess, to select all. So I've got everything selected, and I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to select New Compound Clip. And we're going to call this Missions on the Move clip. When I hit enter, now it looks like it's just one video track, but it's not one video track. It's literally all those tracks that we just edited all combined into one, all right? So now I can go to the beginning of it and play it, right? And it plays. All the layers, the text, the video, the backdrop, it's all there, all right? But now it makes more sense to add an effect or a transition to it. So we can open up with a transition, all right? So we got video transition selected at the top left. If I hit the little caret, you'll see that there's two different versions. There's video, and then there's this essentials transitions, and I only got one. It says essential flip transition. Never used it, but the video transitions are nice. And to test out any transition, you can just slide your mouse over it, and you can see it kind of affect what it does. So this is the blur dissolve. That was a regular additive dissolve. You can do a smooth cut. The smooth cut looks very strange on this. It works good when you're transitioning between people. But let's look at different ones. You can do the cross transition if you want to. I like the cross. We might do that one to kind of start it out, but I'll let you guys see some other ones. So we got the barn doors. Those are all generic. We got a heart, and that shows up there. And we're thinking about a theme. So we got to think about how it works in terms of what the story is and all that kind of stuff. When you start talking about video, I get really passionate about the story itself because I do tell stories for a living. That's what I love to do. All right. The box wipe is a fun one. It kind of brings it in that way with the box. The camera shake, it can be fun. I don't know that it applies to this particular story. And you can just go through and kind of play with any of these particular transitions. And so the transition I think I would use, you got this slice one. We got the radial. You can get as fun and funky as you want to. This is sliding in from the right. You got the spin option where it kind of comes in that way. That was cool. I like the cross. Oh, I like this foreground wipe too. That one is a fun one. It kind of brings it in and brings this foreground wipe to it, kind of wiping it in. You also have the fold option. You can do that one. But to me, the one that makes the most sense is either the heart. I like the heart, and I also like the cross. Okay, so let's do the heart. I'm gonna do the heart one. And all you do is drag it down to the beginning or the end of a clip, all right? And you'll see that it starts out black, and then it comes in with this heart transition intro, all right? And so we've got our title, we got our intro transition, we've got an ending transition that we added to each individual clip to just make it fade out, all right? With the music and everything. And so it's ready to export. So in Davinci, you got the media, the cut page, the edit page, You've also got your Fusion page, your color page, Fairlight, which is music or audio editing, and then the deliver page. We don't necessarily need to do anything with Fusion, color, or Fairlight for this particular video clip because there's no people in it, so you don't necessarily need to do a lot of color grading. That's usually helpful when you have faces or individuals or people in it or whatnot. But for me, what I like to do is I go straight to the deliver page for something like this because even the audio is fine. If I play it, you can look on the right side. If you don't have your audio, you select your mixer up here at the top. You can select your mixer here to make it show up or disappear. And it shows you your levels, right? So your audio levels here. And as long as they're not going over above 0, you're fine. You can slide it down a little bit if you want to where they stay around that 5 to 10 range. And it'll show up there. You'll see the levels. They're not going past 5 now, which is pretty safe, right? For most soundboards and systems. Most of them are mastered to like -12 dB. So you can adjust it as you need to, but it starts out a little low. So if I play it from the very beginning, you'll see the slide or the sound bar go up. It doesn't go past 12. And then it just picks up a little bit louder. Okay, and that's fine. And so we're going to go to deliver. And this is where you actually would type in the title. And you want to put in the location that you're going to save this particular file. Now, they've got some quick render settings and render options if you wanted to. So the quick export options, you can go here, and this shows you like some Blackmagic devices options like the HyperDeck option. You got ProRes, you got a YouTube 1080p option if you wanted to. And you got all these different functions and options. So if you're going to send it straight to YouTube, you could do that from here if you wanted to. The thing about that I don't like, if you select it, it lets you pick the different resolutions. So you can make it be 4K, you can make it be 2K, or just full HD. But the thing about that I don't like is that I want to be able to customize my YouTube channel details. You can't do that from here. You can do some settings. So, right, you can go down here and you can change the upload directly to YouTube. You can adjust the title, the description, the privacy, and the category, but you can't change like your end markers and things like that, or what do they call them? End tabs. I'm not sure what those things are called, but the thing that pops up at the end. So I always just export the video without selecting YouTube, but you can do that. You also can pick one of these options here as well. If you're going to save this and try to use it for FreeShow, you want to make sure it's going to be an MP4. All right. So first, let's put a name to it. We're going to call this Missions on the Move. And then we got to pick a location for it to be saved to. So you select the browser button there, and you can pick it just to go straight to your movies, and that's fine. I'm going to say save, but I don't want it to be a QuickTime video because QuickTime doesn't play well in FreeShow. And it might work well with a lot of other ones. It usually is going to be a higher quality to me than in any other videos. So for YouTube, I do use QuickTime for my export, but MP4 is more universal. So you can select MP4, and then it gives you options for H.264 and H.265. These are codec options. So H.264 is a very, it's been a long-standing standard for exporting. So that's going to be the oldest version, right? So that's going to be more universal, more widely used than most any others up to this date or this point. But H.265 is a more efficient codec. That means it actually makes your file smaller without taking away any of the quality. So this is the latest or the newer codec version that people are using. This is what your cell phones typically will record in a high efficiency codec so that it'll save space on your device. I'm going to make it be H.265 just for that reason alone. And then I'm going to select the bottom down here that says add to render queue. When you do that, it brings it over here. And notice the name of my actual project was called Google Earth. And so you'll see the name Google Earth here. You'll see Google Earth here. And then it says timeline 1. I never changed the name of my timeline. You could do that if you wanted to. But then it gives you a little highlight of where you're saving it in the movies. And it's called Missions on the Move. And then you would select render all. Now you can pause here and go back and make another video and add it to your render queue, and they'll both be sitting there. And you would need to select each of those and hold down the shift key or the command key, and then you can select render all. But if you just select one, it'll just say render the one that you have, but only have one video. So it says render all. So when I click that, it exports out this 40-second, 50-second video, and you'll see it working there, and it's working its magic to export it out in the codec that we picked. And I'm on a M1 Pro MacBook Pro. Okay, so it renders H.265 really well. Any of the M chips, so M1, M2, M3, M4, they render H.265 very well and effective and efficiently. So if you're going to be using one of those Apple devices, I would say always export in H.265. You can still do MP4 or MOV. If you're trying to use this for like YouTube or just for your ministry, you're in church or something like that, it doesn't have to be a ProRes file. It can if you want to. ProRes is going to retain a lot more quality in terms of the colors and all that kind of stuff. But the way that I created this video, I don't know that it started with very much ProRes-like quality. So I'm not that concerned about it. I'm not, airing this in the movie theaters or anything like that. It's going to be from a computer to a projector or LED screen or 4K TV, and that's fine. Now, the one thing that I noticed that I forgot to show you guys, the timeline resolution is really small. It's at 1280 by 720. That's not good. That's not even full HD. So we need to change that. So I'm going to go back into the bottom right of my screen here. There's an option that has a little cogwheel, and this pops up your master settings for your timeline format, your image scaling, and all that kind of stuff. I only use this one for the timeline format, and it says timeline resolution. If you want your timeline resolution to be bigger, you got to scroll through this, and you're going to see an option that says 1920 by 1080 HD. You could even make it be Ultra HD, which we call just 4K, which is 3840 by 2160. And these are just pixels, but I'm going to do HD, okay? Now notice on the left side here, it says 720, but when I select this 1080 and I hit save, notice over here, the timeline changed to be 1080 for the resolution. So it's going to be a higher quality video. We want to do that. And you can do that at the very beginning, or you can do it at the end. You would likely do it before you export. And so for me, I would go back and I would type in the new one. I would export this again, and I'm going to call it Missions on the Move. And let's say I don't want to type it all over again. I just want to redo it. I can just click Browse, and I can find that same video that I made already that says Missions on the Move, and I can click that, and it updates the title for me. And I can click Save. And it says, hey, do you want to replace that? And I'll say, yes, I do want to replace it, because I want it to be that full HD version. I don't want the 720p version. And so now I'll go and select the bottom again to say Add to Render Queue, and I would just render that one video. Now notice there's multiple videos here, so I can say, I can hold down both of these, and I can render all of them, that first one again if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I just want to render this last one. This one says it was completed in 11 seconds. It was a smaller version. This one's going to probably take a little bit longer, but it's going to be a higher quality full HD version. And so now let's look and see what it looks like. And so it's rendering in full HD now. Same computer, right? M1 Pro, MacBook Pro, and it's almost done. And so it took 2 seconds longer to do it at that higher resolution. Now we've got our video file. Great. Let's go into FreeShow to set it up and play it. All right, so now we're in FreeShow, and we're going to just bring that piece of media into FreeShow. Now I can go down to the bottom, and I can go to Media and Videos, because I saved it in my Movies folder, and it'll show you all your different videos, and it shows you the actual folder they're in. But I think, let's see here, where is my movies? I can just go to new folder. Let's do new folder. And actually, let's see, it's probably there. It's called Missions on the Move. Let's see, so they're in alphabetical order down here. There we go. Missions on the Move is here. So I can drag this into a show, but I don't have a show ready. So let's do shows, and let's do new show. And this is going to be called Missions Video. We're going to do an empty show, and it's not going to be a song. It's just going to be a presentation. So we'll say empty show, and we can do new slide. And I'm going to go to, let's go to media. And I'm in my videos, and there's our Missions on the Move. I'm going to drop that here, and I can go back to the show. I don't need this particular slide. I can right click on that and say delete slide. And now I've got the video here and it's ready to play. Now it does default to loop. If we don't want it to loop, you can turn that off. And so you can actually activate it or deactivate it, but the video is playing and the audio levels are off. I can turn that on there. And let's see here. There you go. So I can click it on this side and turn that on, and you'll hear the video and the audio with it. And the other way you can do this is, let me pause that. Let's clear all. We can make a new project, or I can go into a project and let's do it here. Missions video. And I can just drag that video in. So I can select this and just drag it into there, right? And it'll do something like this. It'll play when I hit the play button. It doesn't default to loop in this particular setup. When you drag it into your actual project, it doesn't default to loop. However, you can always stop it from looping if you wanted to. Now, it's not really playing here, but it is doing the little preview play that you can see there. So I can start playing it here and it starts back up, and you can see the audio moving up and down because it is a foreground video, right? So it's a real video. All right. And so that is how you would make a video for your intro countdown timer from Davinci Resolve, or from Google Earth to Davinci Resolve, and then we bring it into FreeShow. Now notice that I don't have any timer on here. So you got to add in your overlay for your timer, or you can go to the edit page on your video. Let's see here. Mission on the move. Not necessarily there. Let's go back. Let's go back. So we go here and we can go to overlays. And I've got a 10-minute countdown timer here. I can click on that and it'll show up in the upper corner right there because we got some space there. You can make this timer be in the bottom right corner if you want to, the upper left corner. We've got space for it to go wherever you want to. All right. And so when I play it now, you'll see that it's playing and it's got the timer there. In order to activate the timer, you got to go to your functions and you got to, let's pause it real quick. I'll just clear all. But in order for it to, let me go back out here. All right, so we're in the missions on the move. And so for your timers, you can add an action to it. But let's go back up to the overlay. We'll just go to timers, and I can say, okay, 10-minute countdown timer is here. Okay. I could say, let's go to actions. We can say new action, and then it will say start timer. I think I have one of these already, but you can go to start action, I'm sorry. And then we're going to scroll down. We're looking for timers. And we got this option that just says start timers. And then it says start timers on active slide. You can do something like that. You can do pause. You can do stop. Let's see what start timers on active slide. Let's see what that does. So I can select that. And that's it. I can close that out. And I call it start timer. I got two of them, but this is the one that's on all caps, the one I just made here. So when I go ahead and we select play, let's see what happens. Because I should have, well, I got to turn on the overlay, first of all. So I'm going to select that, and you'll see that the overlay shows up there. And then let's see what happens here. So I press play, and it did not start the timer, so we don't want to do that one. Let's clear that out. What I did was I dragged it onto that particular slide or that video. So let's go to start timer, and oh, since it's not letting me do that because it is a show, but it's not a show. Look, it's not a show. Let's go to shows. Let me see if it'll let me do it that way. So this is called missions. So we're going to go to here and let's go down to the M's missions video. Okay. And we'll go here. This is the project. Let's drag this here. All right. So this one is actually inside of a slideshow. All right. So it actually is a slide. This one is not a slide. It's just the video. So you got some different options with it. So what I would say do is make it as a part of a slideshow. So you can see it there. You can see the length of it, but you got to make sure that it's not going to set to loop by default. So you can start it and just turn off the loop like we did earlier. And then you can go to your functions and you can say start timer. You can just drag that on to the actual slide. And so it'll start the timer there. And then you can turn on the overlay real time, or you can just add the timer to it. So you can go to your edit screen here. Since this is a slide, you can go to timers and you can select the 10-minute countdown timer. Let's see here. Do I have that in there? 10-minute countdown. And you can just put it on top. And this is what I did. I just dragged it up to the upper corner and moved it up as a part of my slideshow. And so you'll see it there. And then you can go back to your show and the timer's there. And when you start it, this is what I would recommend you do with it. And you would have, I've got multiple videos in my show for my intro. So you can have multiple videos. You can have other slides and things like that, graphics that you've got, and make them as all a part of a big timeline that'll just loop. And so when I select this now, check out that the timer starts. The video starts playing. The music is playing. And we can look here. It does default to loop, right? On the right side there, we can turn that off. So we can just make it not loop. And then you just make another show, right? Another slide, I should say, not another show. So I'm gonna clear that out. And the timer is gonna keep going though, right? So you go to your timers and you'll notice here, the 10-minute countdown timer, it's still going. And so you wanna reset that if you're gonna start the show over to test it out at least. And you might add in other videos. So you have other media that you may have made. So you can go here. I don't remember where I've saved my other videos, but let's say you have maybe just some images that you want to add to your show. So I'm gonna go to shows, and I think I've got some other stuff. I want to put them all on the same show. So let's do Yellow Box. I got some website stuff there. This is a ministry I'm a part of here. So they've got some slides. Let's do this into the show here. And then let's do this one into the show as well. And we'll change the order of these. So I'm going to drag this thank you for joining us to the very beginning. And then we'll have the video play there. And then we'll have it all just kind of loop. All right. And so we'll take this off. Uh-oh. Let's add in the thank you again. All right. Because it had the 53-second video like it was a part of it because it was at the beginning at first. We don't want that. So we want the image icon there, the image icon there. Those are just like a background note, I guess you can call it. This video plays, but we want it to actually be a show. So we're going to right-click on this, and we're going to say slide actions. First, let's do this. Let's say timer. Let's do 10-minute timer. Apply to all. And let's see what happens. And I don't want it on this one, though. So I'll turn it off on that one because I want that to play the full video. All right, so we got 10 seconds. And then I'm going to say slide actions. We're going to say next slide timer is there. And then next on media finish is there. This one, same way. We're going to go to slide actions. Next on media finish. And this one, slide actions, we're going to say go to the start after the 10 seconds. Okay. So after the 10 seconds, it's going to just loop back to the beginning. All right. So let's see what it does in terms of how it plays. So we're going to, we also need to add that timer. So I'm going to take the timer here. I don't want that to be there. So I'm going to take the timer off of here and I'm going to start the timer on this one. But we need to have that timer on the screen. So I'm going to go to edit again. We added it here. So I'm going to select this and I'm going to select copy. I'll just hit Command C and I go to this page and I'm going to do Command V to paste. I'm gonna go to this slide as well, Command V to paste. And now I've got that timer on all the slides. So it's on this one and this one as well. So now we've got this little loop going. So I can go to my show and I've got it set to where they automatically transition to the next. And this one's gonna start all the way over to the beginning. If I right click on it, you can see the slide actions and you'll see it says, well, it didn't say it. So we'll say go to start. Okay, there we go. So it shows the loop now that it'll go to the start, but we need to add that timer back on here. So I'm gonna go to functions and we got timers here, 10-minute countdown. I'm gonna go to the actions and I'm just gonna say start timer. I'm gonna drag that onto here. So it's gonna start the 10-minute countdown that's actually in this slide. That's the important part, okay? So now, we've got it ready. All I have to do is hit this first slide and check out what happens. It's there, and then for 10 seconds, it's just gonna be on this one, and then it's gonna transition into the next one. Now, ignore the fact that it's cut off. That's just because of my screen. It's on my MacBook. It's not a 1080p screen, all right? So you can see that. It's playing the music. I'll let it play. It's only a few seconds, about 50 seconds or so. All of this is just what we edited in Davinci. So it's all there just from Davinci. And then by the time it gets to the 9-minute mark, it's going to be starting to transition into the next slide for another 10 seconds. So it goes off and it goes into the next one. And so you see the timer countdown going, and it's going, it's going. And this one, by the time it gets to the end, it should loop to the beginning, and you saw it change and say, thank you for joining us. And then it's gonna go again into the video. So you've got this 3-slide intro countdown that's looping, all right? So I'm gonna come out of that and I'm going to mute it for now, all right? But this is a simple way to make a countdown video from start to finish. So we got one video. You could do that multiple times, right? For my YouTube live stream, I've got, I think, 3 different videos plus a separate video that I put in there multiple times in between, kind of like this. Thank you for joining us. I made a video in Davinci that shows my face and the title slide and all that kind of stuff. And so this is just an idea of how to make the maps from Google Earth for any presentation you may have. We'll do another video another time. This one is pretty long already. We'll do another video to show how to do some other features in terms of using Davinci Resolve in the future. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Again, my name is Garry B. Jr., and I'm here to help equip you and help your ministry thrive. So until next time, I'll talk to you later.